Katamari Damacy is one of the most reprehensible and psychologically manipulative pieces of propaganda I have ever seen in my entire life. Its sinister themes and diabolical attempt to manipulate the masses at large makes me weep for humanity, and gaming culture celebrating it as something to be proud of proves that the juvenile gaming culture has a long way to go before it can be taken seriously. Since I don't expect any of you to understand without it being extremely obvious, let us begin our journey. Firstly, let's analyze the game mechanics. The entire concept of the game is to roll around a ball and consume everything around you while becoming larger. You start off small, consuming objects like pencils and erasers, but eventually you'll be able to consume buildings, people, chunks of land, and an entire planet. This is an obvious allegory of working hard to reach the top. Bullshit. By starting small and becoming a successful capitalist by hoarding everything you see. The more you consume, the larger and more powerful you become. It gets to a point where you hoard almost everything around you, creating massive inequality and leaving nothing for the 99%. While this sounds like a clever and subtle critique of the capitalist system, in proper context this is not the case. The tone is light-hearted and humorous, making light of human suffering at the hands of capitalism and presenting this reprehensible and problematic behavior as something to savor. This is obviously the same propaganda used by the 1% when they justify their exorbitant wealth and land ownership, as well as encourage the unwashed masses that rampant consumerism at the expense of everyone around you is good. The other key theme that this morally bankrupt game celebrates is that of monarchy. While the constant hoarding and increasing in size celebrates capitalism, ultimately you are collecting the spoils of a land for the king. You yourself are a prince stealing money, land, and anything you can imagine from the common folk for your exorbitant king. This vile and reprehensible message encourages the rampant taxation performed during the Middle Ages by royalty in order to increase their wealth by doing absolutely nothing. This isn't the good kind of socialist taxing where you create more equality, it's using taxes to create more inequality. And is this king presented as a morally corrupt and despicable human being? No! He is represented as a quirky, bizarre, but likable character who you, the brainwashed player, want to steal for. And to further motivate the player to do disgusting acts of imperialism, the king is never satisfied with what you present to him. He constantly demands you obtain more in a very short time, encouraging capitalistic efficiency in your monarchistic theft. Towards the end of the game, you become large enough to consume and control the entire planet, an obvious wink and nod to the British Empire since the sun never set on it. The fact that the game encourages you to resemble a world-conquering, egomaniacal Brit is bad enough, but like all traditional monarchies, there are no meaningful female characters. It's a man pillaging for another man, with men making themselves wealthy. The game flaunts and celebrates male privilege, viciously assaulting women's rights. The fact that there is no queen or any options to play as a female character is very typical of the problematic, troublesome, and institutionalized sexism that is rampant in the games industry. Hey, I told you to edit that out. Get rid of that. The disgusting themes are indicative of the kind of people who have enjoyed this game. This game's constant praise and love shows how dangerous and threatening gaming culture can be for rational people like me. Now I know what you're thinking.
But all you are saying is a bunch of conjecture with no solid evidence to back up your argument. You have no proof for your claims, so present the facts or fuck off.
Well, firstly, your white male privilege is showing, and secondly, here's a diagram representing the data from a study on the people who said they had played Katamari. They found that all people who had played Katamari were 85% more likely to attempt world domination. And as you can see above the dots, some people had capitalist leanings, some had monarchist leanings, but the vast majority leant both ways, proving that most of the people who like and defend Katamari are as bad as Adolf Hitler. Wake up, people! This is the kind of danger we as a community face in our near future, and games like this must be named and shamed. And no, the study wasn't peer-reviewed. It doesn't need to be since it's perfect. But despite the pro-capitalist and monarchist themes and the threat of the game causing the next Holocaust, that is not what concerns me the most. It's the fact that the game's target market was progressive liberals like me. The game's bizarre art style and quirky presentation is reminiscent of modern conceptual art, Juno, and 60s Batman, with the sort of campy weirdness that people like me are attracted to. The fact that it tried to lure people like me in order to manipulate my views in order to conform is the most sickening act done by a group of people since slavery in the United States. This thing is reprehensible, morally abhorrent filth that encourages disturbing themes of unregulated capitalism and monarchy in such a manipulative way that it could only be described as pure evil. If it weren't for my vastly superior intellect, I may have been fooled as well. Hopefully this has been enlightening for you and will encourage progress in the interactive art community. I bid you adieu.